Welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello and welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. I'm Lauren Bolander, and tonight Captain Jim Ross came back. He liked Rick's seat so much he decided to join us again. Thanks for being here, filling in.
I appreciate him keeping this warm for me.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. And we also have your old buddy Dave Farrell at the Workbench, as usual. Hi,
Hey
Dave.
guys, how's it going? Survived Vegas, which is, is tough for me to do. I made it though.
Yeah. Accomplishment.
It was good.
Well done.
We had fun.
All right, he came back tonight to talk diving and lobsters, and we have some special guests for a little later in the show. A couple of our FWC officers and Zeus, the canine. They're going to be giving us a cool demonstration. Can't wait for that.
Yep, and diving is one of the things that really gets into people's bloods in the summertime because it's so hot out and people love to get in the water. So this is a perfect time for the show.
It is. I think we actually have some viewer photos.
Yes, we do. Yep. We've got Dwayne Wood with he sent in his picture of two really nice lobsters from his annual father and daughter dive trip, and also we've got Derek Lixie with a 15-pound lobster he got while snorkeling in the Bahamas. That is a monster right there.
Huge. I'm not sure if I'd know what to do with that guy if he came out of the water at me.
I'd be scared.
We've got lots of stuff to cover tonight, so we're going to kick it off with Captain Mark Johnson, who's filling again this week for Captain Randy Tao in the La Jolla, Florida Keys. That's where we're going to start off. Diving can be fun for all throughout your area, right, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? Like you guys mentioned, many seasons coming up here, and that is going to be a very busy time throughout the Keys. And diving is very big all throughout the Keys, from beginner to expert level. You can always find some lobsters where you're diving. This time of year we have that lobster May season. Like I said, the 2 days pre-lobstering catching time for the recreational diver, which is the last Wednesday and Thursday of the month of July. And lobstering is done in the Keys on both sides of the island. You can do it on the ocean side as well as the bay, and you're looking for any kind of hard bottom coral rock or any kind of bottom that might be holding these lobsters. Sometimes it can be structure, sometimes it can just be solution holes. And you can dive on them with either a tank or even just a mask of snorkel, and you can be anywhere between 6 and 30 feet of water, and you can be just outside Hawks Channel into some of the deeper stuff, which is 30, 40 feet as well. And the deeper water you go, the less chance there is of other divers in your way.
Hey, now, Mark, I'm going to talk about the Navionics chart for just a second here for the Keys region. And Mark was saying that right down in here by Alligator Reef Light, there's an area that is a protected area. You cannot take any, there's no harvest in that area. Also, anytime that you're taking lobster, you want to make sure that you don't use anything except a tickle stick. No entrapment devices, no spears, nothing of that nature. Now, Mark was talking about those deeper sections right down in here off of Alligator Reef being better because this stuff up in here, Hawks Channel, and some of this, even this real shallow stuff, and right down in here in these patch reefs, that area has a tendency to get picked over pretty heavily. So those deeper ledges have a tendency to be better places to catch lobster. Mark, let's check out your second offshore species we've got tonight.
Okay, in the offshore we have the mutton snappers, and sometimes when you're diving for lobsters, you'd be amazed at what you find out there, snapper and group-wise. So when you're fishing the deeper patches outside the Hawks Channel, in the 30 to 50 foot range, you want to try to use some live grunts or pinfish on the bottom for the groupers, and then a live bally was a great bite for that mutton snapper. And I think you guys have a picture of a beautiful mutton snapper there from Michael Stringer from Russia. Is that correct?
Yes. That's a nice one there, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so a lot of times while you're looking for lobsters, you may stumble across a really nice patch reef, and you want to make sure you put that in your GPS or you mark it on your chart so that you can find it again when it's fish time.
Now, what have you got going on the inshore region right now in the Florida Keys?
Inshore right now, tarpon is still the main topic in the spring, and now that we're into the beginning of the summertime, the tarpon fishing is still good on the ocean side, in the Islamorada Ocean Reef area if you're a fly fisherman, and if you're in the bait fishing, you want to use the live crabs around the Upper Keys bridges, and you're going to be really early in the morning or even really late at night. Later at night, midnight, falling water, that's great stuff to catch tarpon.
Gotcha, and you've got snook as well.
You know what? The snook bite in the Flamingo area seems to be pretty good early morning and late afternoon, especially around the times when the overcast and the storms. And on the higher incoming tide, there's been plenty of snook up on the top of the flat, along with some good red fishing as well. Now, if you don't have a boat to go up shallow, the incoming tide along some of the shorelines and the channels around Flamingo have been producing some really nice snook, especially if you have live pinfish or a live mullet on a 3/8 ounce hookup jig. Mullet are still plentiful all over the backcountry.
Oh, fantastic report, and I'm going to take your hot spots from here. Mark, we appreciate that.
Hey.
Right now, Captain Mark was saying that the tarpon, you want to look on the oceanside flats from Islamorada to Ocean Reef if you're a fly fisherman, or if you're bait fishing, drift with some live crabs around the Upper Keys bridges, and early or late at night seems to be best. Now, offshore, reef fishing is the way to go. Fish the deeper patch reefs outside of Hawks Channel. You want to try the 30 to 50 foot depths, and you want to use live grunts or pinfish on the bottom rig for groupers, and you want to use live ballyhoo for those mutton snapper, like that beautiful one that they had the picture of just a second ago.
Yeah, lots of handy stuff there from Mark picking up the Keys for us. Okay, but you know what, right now let's take a look and see what tournaments are going on down in the Keys. At the Robert James Slam Tournament, set for September 7th through the 9th, anglers target tarpon, permit, and bonefish to achieve the coveted Flats Grand Slam. The first of 3 events in the annual Red Bone Series in the Key raises funds for the fight against cystic fibrosis. The Islamorada Invitational Fall Fly Bonefish Tournament, scheduled for September 10th to the 13th, is not only the Key's oldest bonefish fly tournament, it's the most prestigious bonefish fly tournament in the world. Past grand champions include Flip Pallett, Billy Pate, Carl Hyacin, and Andy Mill.
Well, that's a list of names there.
Sure is, and a mouthful. One of the oldest fishing tournaments in the Florida Keys in Marathon. The Marathon International Bonefish Tournament awards individual and team champions scoring the largest bonefish and permit, as well as top anglers in fly and Grand Slam divisions. This year's tournament is set for September 19th through the 22nd. And finally, named after the man known as Mr. Everglades, the Herman Lucerne Memorial Tournament is set for September 21st to the 22nd. Limited to the boundaries of the Everglades National Park, the catch and release tournament focuses on snook, snapper, redfish, trout, bonefish, tarpon, and black drum. There's a lot going on.
Ooh, I'm telling you,
Plenty
a lot
of good
going on
stuff.
in the Keys.
Yeah, right now we're going to hear from Andy Newman in the Keys about tonight's featured tournament. Andy?
Actually, we're going to talk a little bit about diving in the Keys, and we're talking a little bit about, first of all, the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. Of course, it's very famous for its coral reefs and the Florida Keys Shipwreck Trail, but we also have a number of events that, well, you know, they can only be found in the Keys. Let's take a look at some video from this past weekend's annual Lower Keys Underwater Music Festival. It took place about 6 miles off Big Pine Key. About several hundred divers listened to US 1 Radio's 4-hour broadcast, Pipe Beneath the Sea. Now, beyond the quirky costumes and the fun, the festival had a serious side. Coral reef preservation was emphasized via public service announcements. Now, as we end today's report with a reminder to go to the Florida Keys website, flakeys.com, here's what the Rolling Stones sounded like underwater.
That is not bad at all. That makes me want to practice my mermaid swim underwater, right?
There you go.
All right. Now let's turn to the southeast region with Captain Jimbo Thomas. Jimbo, it sounded like the lobster report is pretty good so far.
The few reports that I have gotten are saying that there's quite a few lobsters out there. You know, all the divers that I've spoken to that have been out scouting, they've said it looks like it'll be a good lobster season, at the very least a good mini season. Now, the entire southeast region is great for lobstering, but the further south you get, the better the lobstering gets, mainly because the reef keeps getting better. I like to dive the patch reefs and the isolated coral heads and the ledges in 10 to 20 feet of water in Hawks Channel. The outside reef also holds lobsters, but they're generally a little more spread out and much harder to catch in that heavy reef. Now, since the invention of GPS, there's really no such thing as a secret spot, so it's not uncommon for somebody else to be sitting on your spot first. So if that happens, show some proper lobstering etiquette and move on to the next spot, because we don't want to have any lobster wars. I'm sure it's going to happen either way. I like to use a net and a tickle stick, and if there's a lot of lobsters on your spot when you get there, work slowly. Otherwise, they'll start to get spooked and start to walk. So if you don't work too fast, you can probably catch most of them. And it's always a good idea to go after the biggest lobster of the bunch first. And after you catch a few, you get a feel for which ones are legal and which ones are short, so you're not wasting your time catching all those shorts. Be sure to put up that dive flag, measure each of those lobsters before putting them in the catch bag, and follow all those rules, because those FWC officers, they're going to be out there in full force. Now, staying offshore, we've been catching plenty of dolphin pretty consistently in the last week. Most of the fish have been schoolies with an occasional larger fish mixed in. In the last couple of days, the fish have been in about 1,000 to 1,200 feet of water, which is roughly 10 to 12 miles offshore. And we've been finding them under birds and scattered weed lines. We have found some good pieces of floating debris that had fish, and then we found some other good pieces of debris that looked like they should have been loaded with fish, but they had nothing. I don't know if somebody might have beat us to it or what the story was. A few of the fish are being caught on the troll, and when we find a school, we've been using small live pilchers and cup bonita. And then any of the fish that haven't been legal size, we've been tagging and releasing. So if you happen to catch a dolphin with a tag in it, jot down the location and call it into that phone number that is on the tag. Now going inshore, July is one of the best months to catch permit on the flats, and Captain Joe Gonzalez tells me that the permit fishing has been excellent. He's been finding permit on both the inside and outside flats of South Biscayne Bay. And when the weather's calm, he's been fishing the oceanside flats from Sands Cut south to Angelfish Creek. He's been finding the fish in the channels and along the channel edges, and then on the higher tide, the fish have been moving onto the top of the flats. The best fishing has been on the flats with hard bottom and good moving water. And then inside the bay, he's been fishing around the featherbed banks and along the western shoreline of the bay. And when the wind is down and the water starts to slick out, he's been finding tailing fish. Been fishing with live crabs, pink swimmer jigs, and crab pattern flies. That's what's been working best. And here we got a photo. This is Diego Juncadella with a permit caught earlier this week with Captain Joe Gonzalez. The fish was tagged and released with a $100 reward tag from the Bonefish and Tarpon Trust Project Permit, sponsored by Costa. Now, staying inshore, the peacock bass fishing has been good in the lakes and the canals of the southeast region. Captain Tony Fowler of Miami Backcountry Charters, he's been fishing the Blue Lagoon lakes and canals, and also the canal system in the falls area, and catching loads of peacocks and live shiners, root beer colored DOA terrorized, and small rapalas in silver and black, green and silver, and then late in the afternoon, gold and silver has been working on those rapalas. The best fishing has been in the middle of the day in clear water with good current around the canal mouths and the bridge abutments. And then he's been fishing with spinning tackle with 15-pound braid and a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader. When he's been fishing in this Blue Lagoon lake system, he's also had snook, tarpon, and big jack crevalles. And I didn't know jack crevalles could live in fresh water, but he's been having jacks up to 15 pounds. And then there's also some largemouth bass being caught throughout the region, but due to the high water levels, it really hasn't been too spectacular. And I got another picture here. This is Kirk Lorison, and this is a 7-pound peacock bass that he caught on a fly that he tied by himself in a lake in the Doral area, which is in Miami.
Oh, that's fantastic. Hey, thanks for that great report, Jimbo. And Jackson Freshwater, that's interesting. I'll take your sports grill hotspots from here for the southeast region. Right now, you guys want to throw live crabs to the tailing or cruising permit in South Biscayne Bay. And then offshore, you want to look for floating debris and bird activity. The schoolie dolphin are going to be around those things, so you want to take real close attention to them. And we're going to go right on to the next segment now.
We sure will. As we promised them earlier, Jim, we have some friends tonight in the studio with us. This is George Pino from the FWC. And first and foremost, you got to tell us about boating safety. Very important.
Yeah, as the captain said, there's going to be thousands of people that are going to be out there looking for those elusive lobster. We want people to make sure that they pay close attention to what they're doing. We want them to, if they're operating a vessel, they need to make sure that they have all their safety equipment on board before they head out. Now, the captain on board that vessel is responsible for maintaining a proper lookout. There's going to be, like I said, thousands of people in the water, so we want to make sure that people come back home safely with the right number of lobster. Now, for the diver that's going to be diving for looking for this lobster, they need to be very careful as well. They need to be careful when they're resurfacing, making sure that they're not going to be run over by a vessel. Unfortunately, every year we have a tragedy, somebody loses their life, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We're also going to be concentrating not only on boating safety and people sometimes drinking a little bit before they go out or while they're out there, but we're also going to be obviously concentrating on making sure that people protect the resources or that they don't take too many lobster or they don't make too many trips. And for that, we're going to use several different techniques. The first one is we're going to have several FWC officers out there at the ready looking for people that are doing the wrong thing. We're going to have undercover officers that are going to be actually looking for lobster right next to you, and you may not know that it's an FWC officer, but they're going to be out there in force. And also we're going to have a very special piece of this operational component, which is our lobster sniffing dog. And we happen to bring one
That's
this
right.
afternoon.
That's who we saw a little bit earlier. Caitlin and her friend Zeus, their partner maybe. Yeah? You want to tell us about them?
Go ahead.
Well, like they said, this is Zeus. He is a lobster sniffing dog of many things. Zeus is 2 years old. He's been with us for about a year. He's a chocolate lab, and we're going to do a quick detection exercise for one of the things that he can sniff out, which is lobster. Come on, let's go, buddy. Come on. All right, come here. Come here. Are you ready? Come here. Are you going to find it? Are you going to find it? Where is it? Find it. Check here. Come on. Check here. It's up here.
Now, Caitlin, how are you going to know if he finds it or not? Is he going to sit, point, stop? What's he going to do?
Oh, what do you got? What do you got?
Well, it looks like
That's
he's
what
doing it right now,
Oh,
Jim.
he's found it.
He sure is.
Boy. Good boy. Good boy. Yep, Zeus is a lobster sniffing dog. He does deer, turkey, alligator, snook, lobster, conch, and a bunch of other fish. He does an aggressive alert. As you saw, he scratched at the boat. So if we're on your boat and you have something illegal, you might want to tell us, because he is going to scratch your boat.
Yeah. Now, if somebody decides they want to try and hide something like that, there are fines involved as well, or take lobsters from areas that they're not supposed to take them from. And we got about 30 seconds left. Can you explain that to us?
Sure. It's a $90 citation for having safety equipment, not having enough safety equipment on board, but also it's a second-degree misdemeanor if you're going to be taking too many lobster, making too many trips. So we recommend that you don't do that. Make sure you review your regulations before you head out so we avoid any problems in the future.
Gotcha.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, you guys. A lot of helpful
thank you so
information
much,
there,
Zeus.
as all of our captains have told you before. Lots of important boating safety. Don't drink before you head out there. Take all your safety precautions, or these guys
Know the rules
will
and
have
regulations.
their eye on you.
Know them, definitely.
And you don't want to meet Zeus out
Thank
there
you so
the
much,
wrong
guys. We
way.
appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
welcome.
Stay with us. On the other side of the break, we're going to head to the east and we'll talk to Dave at the Workbench. Don't miss it.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Lottery, Yeti Coolers, wildly stronger, keep ice longer, best parts, best prices, Bennett Auto Supply, Captain Harry's Fishing Supply Company, Chevy, the IGFA, conservation through education, get your hands wet, and Olukai.
I'm happy we could get you exactly what you wanted.
Not as happy as I am.
Maybe not, but close.
Here's your new Silverado with everything you wanted in Victory Red, my friend.
Victory is mine.
I feel good knowing you got exactly what you wanted.
Is this a great day or what?
The Chevy Model Year End Event. The 13s are going fast. Time to get yours. Now, current Chevy truck owners can trade up to this 2013 Chevy Silverado All-Star Edition with a total value of $9,000.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
For over 30 years, Guy Harvey has masterfully captured the wonder of marine wildlife in his artwork. Now he's sharing his inspiration with the Florida Lottery by creating 12 exclusive images for the Collector Series Guy Harvey Scratch-Off game, featuring a top prize of $50,000 and a second chance opportunity to fish with Guy Harvey himself. Celebrate the beauty and riches of Florida with Guy Harvey Scratch-Off games today. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
Deep within Key Largo, you'll see things that may surprise you. From the unspoiled wilderness of the Florida Everglades to the tranquility of John Pennekamp State Park. Look below the surface and you'll find more depth in Key Largo.
Now let's go over our news and notes from the FWC. The FWC will be holding alligator hunting classes in July and August. It's highly recommended for first-time alligator hunters, and you can find one at the following locations. July 27th at the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame in Dania Beach, July 31st at the Bryant Building in Tallahassee, and August 3rd at the Okeechobee County Civic Center in Okeechobee. You can find more information at myfwc.com. Right now, it's time for Off the Deep End.
Alligator hunting. They have an alligator hunting school. I'd go to school first too if I was hunting alligators. Luckily, lobsters don't bite back. But we're going to talk about some lobstering with Steve Campbell from Quiescence Diving Services. He's come down here because I don't know much about lobstering, and it's cool because I'm down here. I'm his neighbor this week at Chica Lodge, and he's in Key Largo. So he's going to tell us a little about what we need to do if we're going to go catch some lobsters. What do we need to get our hands on when we want to get out there and get after these things?
Well, Dave, thanks for having me on here.
No worries.
And we've read about it, we've seen the video on it, now we're going to do it.
Right, right.
Obviously, you need mask, fins, and snorkel. You got to be able to see them.
Right.
And some safety items to start with. You have various snorkel vests, things of this nature, like so.
To provide extra flotation.
Flotation and visibility.
Right.
Because boaters are out there. Our weekends were kind of crazy, so you want to be seen in the water. This gives you great visibility, so it's safety for yourself.
And this is one of those flags we're talking about, a dive
Absolutely.
flag, obviously.
You got to fly the flag.
And it has to, what'd you say? It has to have one of these little things in it too,
It's
right?
got a stiffener in it. It has to be of proper size. Regulated flag is 20 by 26 inches.
And that's that one right there.
That's this guy right here.
Anything smaller than that is no bueno.
That's correct.
And how far do people have to stay towards the flag?
As a diver snorkeler,
A diver snorkeler guy.
we need to be within 300 feet of our flag.
Okay.
100 yards.
And boats, they can't be within that
Within
far.
that. So it creates a buffer zone. That's for our protection. So
Okay.
boaters have to stay 300 feet away from the flag. We need to stay 300 feet within the flag.
I gotcha.
And
All right.
that's our safety margin.
So now, we've heard a lot about, these lobsters and where they are and everything. I've always, I'm a little timid when it comes to reaching in and grabbing one and all that. How do you go about it so you can eliminate the chance of that thing grabbing hold of you? That's an ugly critter to me.
We have the tickle stick.
Okay.
They get the name spiny lobster for a reason. They have very sharp spines on them. You also need to wear protective gloving. And with the tickle stick, it's just real simple. It's a little stealth technology.
So how do you approach one once you see it down there to keep it from shooting away?
Well, you want to come in as a slow attack to it. If you come in like a group or hard and fast or a nurse shark charging onto it,
right.
As a predator, us being the predator, they're going to feel threatened. They're going to run inside their hole, and they're gone.
Once they go in the hole, it's hard to get them out.
Done. Well, if they're in there, that's what this device is for.
So what do you do with that?
You take this, you slowly work it in onto the tail. You can tap him out. You can literally walk the lobster out of its hole.
Just from tapping him on the behind, and he'll walk out.
You can maneuver him. You can actually kind of guide him as to where you want him to be, so you can grab him to pick him up, put him in your bag.
And you just once you get him out where you want to, you just give him a grab.
You got to be fast.
Or do you use one of these? What is this thing here?
This is called a snare. This is another device. Again, you want to check with your local jurisdiction, different guidelines and registrations and rules as to how to use this and where it's applicable. But basically, you put the tail into this. You can use this as a tickle stick as well to walk him out. You put this around this tail.
Right.
And if I were to grab you as a lobster like that, I pull it tight and I've got you.
And that doesn't come off
Doesn't
either,
come
right?
off.
And then you just put him in another bag.
Put him in a bag. You have a simple mesh bag like this.
Well, show me the trick bag. You got a trick bag.
You got another
down there.
bag like this. It has a throat to it.
So
this is a one-way bag.
I can imagine it would be kind of hard to get them in here sometimes.
Sometimes it is.
Without this kind of
tail
thing.
first is always best. Lobsters like to retreat back into a safety area, so they think
so
they're
you put him in there, he'll go in there on his own.
They'll slide in automatically.
I gotcha.
This is just another little device. It's got a trap door onto it, like a funnel. You put them in this way, and they're not going to try to come out here.
Right.
Also has a zipper on the bottom, so it makes it easier
to dump them all out. And what's this little thing here you got?
This is your lobster gauge. One of the most important features you got to have is this. This is our measuring device.
This tells me how big my lobster can be.
That's correct.
So how big is this here?
This is a 3-inch piece right here, and you measure it from the horns to the back of the carapace.
The top of his head,
top
the back
of the head, back to where the tail begins. And the lobster has to be at least this big or larger.
And if he's not, you got to throw him back.
Too small,
and you also mentioned something else to me about how long his tail was.
Yeah, tails have to be 5.5 inches long. A lot of people don't know that.
No matter how big that is.
He can be the size of the carapace, but the tail also has to be legal size.
5 inches.
That's correct.
Well, there you go. Thanks, brother. I really appreciate it coming in here. I told you that would go quick, didn't it?
Very quick.
We could keep talking.
Sure.
Thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you.
Back to you, Lauren.
Thank you, guys. You know, Jim, sometimes we have to beat Dave Farrell with a stick to get him moving too.
And it's not tickling him either, brother. Beating him, literally.
Okay. All right, enough of that. Now it's time to head east. Captain Mike Holliday, you have a couple of specific spots to direct us to, right?
I do, Lauren. You can't really talk about diving or lobsters in my region without bringing up the shallow reef lines in Peck's Lake off Jupiter Island or North Beach in Fort Pierce. Both areas have long stretches of reef and anywhere from 8 to 15 feet of water that have an abundance of fish and lobsters on them. And you can do dives on those areas by boat, or you can even swim out from the beach if you want with a hookah rig, or even just snorkel in those areas. Expect to see big crowds in those two places during the lobster mini season. Other good spots near the shore for diving include the rocks in front of the Breakers Hotel, Blowing Rocks in Jupiter, Bathtub Reef in Stewart, and the Boiler Reef in Vero. And some of the best spearfishing and diving will also take place on those patches of reef in 12 to 20 feet of water that stretch all the way from Hope Sound all the way up to Vero Beach. And for the scuba crowd, there's a 6 and 8 mile reefs off Martin and St. Lucie counties, as well as the wrecks like the Dragon, the David T., the Halsey, and the Amazon. And, you know, in Palm Beach County, there's almost too many great artificial reefs to list. But you can go to, any of the dive shops in the county and get a map of the reefs and all their waypoints and depths as well. Now, the other thing we got going offshore, for the blue water gang, the cobia bite's been the most consistent thing going, with the largest concentration of fish in 90 to 120 feet of water from Boynton Inlet all the way up to the Juneau Pier. Now, from there, the action moves inshore to like 20 to 60 feet of water, and the fish are either free swimming on the surface or hanging around the shallow reefs and wrecks. And the fish have been really picked through, so there's a lot of undersized cobia in the mix. So just be sure that, your fish meets that 34-inch minimum size limit before you stick a gaff in it. So keep a spinning rod rigged with a chartreuse 1-ounce hookup jig or a 5-inch die dapper, or pitch a live threadfin or pilchard or sardine out there. Watch for the bull sharks, too. A lot of the cobia are on the bull sharks, and if a shark gets hot after you hook a fish, open the bail, let it act normal, and a lot of times that shark will leave it alone. Average cobia in my area is 8 to 20 pounds right now.
Very nice. Now, Mike, what have you got going on inshore?
Well, in the last week, there's been a decent push of large mangrove snapper into all the inlets in my region. The mangroves come in shallow to spawn and to feed on the abundance of small bait fish near the beaches. These fish move into the rocks in the inlets from mid-July, basically through the second week of September. Majority of fish are going to be well over that 10-inch minimum size limit. Now, snapper loves Spanish sardines, and they love juvenile pilchards. They like live shrimp. They love small sand perch and small pinfish as well. And really the easiest fish to target during the slack tides. Fish for them with 20-pound braided line, 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, and a 2.0 VMC circle hook, and just enough lead to hold bottom. And pitch that up against the rocks and be ready to horse the fish out of the rocks when they bite. They're going to head right back into those rocks every time. You'll also get some mutton and schoolmaster snapper in the mix. Average mangrove at the inlets right now is 1 to 4 pounds. The other thing we got, the summer snook spawns really kicked into full gear, and that means the fish are in all the inlets in my region, as well as on the beaches throughout the area. And that means places like South Beach and Fort Pierce, Walton Rocks, the Hope Sound National Wildlife Refuge, and Blowing Rocks are all holding nice fish that aren't actively in those inlets spawning, and that makes them great for catch and release. So also, the Lake Worth and Juneau Beach piers have good concentrations of fish. And don't overlook the spillways in my region. With all that water running from the rain we've had this past week, the spillways are really dumping and the big snook are chewing in those areas. So live threadfins, Spanish sardines are top around the inlets, although croakers, grunts, and sand perch are also good options. On the beaches, threadfins work best, but you can also cast swimming plugs parallel to shore or sight cast a fish with, like a 3.5-inch die dapper in that water boy or Houdini color. And the average snook is going to be 5 to 12 pounds. Just handle them carefully, guys. The season's closed.
Gotcha. And your bass report looks like it's a pretty good one this week too, Mike.
Yeah, it is. The big key here, I talked to the guys out at Lake Okeechobee, you want to be on the water at dawn. On Lake Okeechobee, you can take advantage of the shad bite as the schooling bass are ambushing those shad schools in the shallows right at first light. On the north end is Kings Bar and the mouth of the Indian Prairie Canal. On the south end is Clewiston Channel and the Water Tower and all the channels in the grass. Just look for seagulls diving. Those indicate wounded shad, and throw a lipless crankbait, a white spinnerbait, or a bass assassin die dapper. Any of those baits in that white or blue and chrome colors, basically anything that looks like a shad, You can add top water plugs to the mix as well. The action's fast and furious for that first hour of light, then things start to get hot, and then you want to switch over to working the outside grass lines and points with a June bug colored twitch worm or an 8-inch worm rib Texas style, or just go to live shiners looking for those bigger fish. Average bass on Okeechobee right now is 1 to 4 pounds, and guys are catching anywhere from 30 to 40 fish a morning and being off the water by 9:30. So Okeechobee's hot, guys.
Wow, thanks. That's a great report, Mike. I'll take the Bennett Auto Supply hotspots for the East region from here. Captain Mike says that you need to do some catch and release snook fishing at the Lake Worth or Jupiter spillways, and live shad, tilapia, or mullet are working really well. Or you can use some big swimming plugs. There's lots of trophy fish to be caught right now. And then offshore, you want to do the Dawn Patrol high speed for wahoo, and you want to pull between Palm Beach, off of Palm Beach, between 140 and 240 feet of water, which is right on that Okalina bank. The Yozuri Bonitas and Braid Speedsters are also very, very popular right now, especially in the purple and orange. And the bite is generally over by about 8:30, so you need to get out there and do it really early. That Dawn Patrol thing is going to work for you for the wahoo.
Yep, early bird. Lots of good info
Most
there.
definitely.
Thank you so much. When we return, we're going to check in with Pat Deneen in the Panhandle and Jeff Hageman in the Northwest. And you should remember to check out our website, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at Chevy FIFR TV. There's lots more to come on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Guy Harvey Clothing by AFTCO. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers. Everything for your outdoor adventures. Croquis, made in the USA. Drummond Community Bank. Costa. See what's out there. And Lumber Rock.
Introducing Helmmaster, Yamaha's first fully integrated digital boat control system. With Helmmaster, you can start your outboards with a swipe of a fob and control them with a single lever. Outboard trim and steering friction adjust automatically as you accelerate and decelerate. Adjust engine speed with the touch of a button. The Helmmaster joystick provides the means to navigate and dock precisely with confidence and ease. Take control of your next vessel with Helmmaster at your command.
At highway speeds, things can get pretty windy. That's why the Chevrolet Cruze Eco has active aero grille shutters that close at higher speeds to improve aerodynamics. With an EPA estimated 42 miles per gallon highway, the Chevrolet Cruze Eco offers the best highway fuel economy of any gas engine in America. Always thinking of ways to give you more while using less. That's American ingenuity to find new roads.
What is CCA? CCA has been representing recreational fishermen for over 25 years, and when your rights to fish are threatened, the CCA is there to make sure government regulators are making sound decisions. I'm a life member of CCA, and when fishery decisions are being made, the CCA in the room is fighting for our recreational rights. We need to give our kids the same opportunities to fish as we did. Do what I did. Go to ccaflorida.org and join for only $25 so you can protect your recreational angling rights.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
Welcome back to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. Now, you know, Captain Jim, our resident chef around here, Bob Stokey, he's back again tonight, this time with his lobster empanadas. That sounds all right.
Ooh, I'm getting hungrier by the minute. I love
well, hold on,
lobster.
Let's check them out first.
Hey guys, welcome back to Mark 88, Island Florida Keys. It is lobster season, and today we're gonna make lobster empanadas. So super easy recipe, guys. Right now what I've done in here, I've already had the lobster in the pan. I took some lobster, cut it up into chunks. I've added some bell peppers, some onions. I added some bechamel sauce, but you could just use a little bit of cream and a little bit of cheese. That's much easier to do at home, okay? That's basically all that's in there. The other thing I did that makes these so easy is I got some pre-done empanada shells. You just buy these at the store. They come right in the frozen food section, no big deal. Super easy. They make this dish something you can do at home, all right? Now, I have a little bit of fresh basil here. I have some sun-dried tomatoes, all right? And all I'm gonna do is cut up some basil because in every empanada we wanna get some basil. While I'm doing this, I've turned on my barbecue grill because it's summertime, it's barbecue. Turn on my barbecue grill to high, all right? The hotter, the better for empanadas, all right? Watch this is how we're gonna do them. Just gonna scoop our mixture out. Remember, this mixture is fully cooked already, so all we're gonna do when we put these in the grill is we're just gonna finish them off a little bit more, okay? We're gonna add that. We're gonna add a sun-dried tomato or so in there. Look at that, beautiful, all right? And we're gonna go around and pinch these off all the way around the outside edge, all right? Try to keep the mixture from coming out of the empanada because it makes it a little bit hard when we do the next part, which is the fold, all right? In order to make the fold, we're just gonna fold this point in, make another point, fold that point in, make another point, do this all the way down. Now, these shells have been out here for a minute or two in the sun, but once we get them done, they're gonna look like that, okay? I put a little olive oil on our pan, all right? We're gonna brush these with some egg wash, all right? No big deal, just brush them. This way, when they go in the oven, it's gonna give them a nice, good color, all right? Some egg wash right there, right into super hot barbecue grill, all right? I put these in there a few minutes ago. This is what we're gonna get when they come out. Take about 10 to 15 minutes to cook. What you're looking for is a nice, good golden color, all right? Watch these babies. We'll cut one of these open, all right? Empanadas are food that you eat with your hands. Look at that. Oh, so good. Try these with some ají picante sauce. Check out the website for a recipe at Chevy Florida Insider Report, fishingreport.com. Absolutely amazing lobster empanadas. Oh, so good.
Now, that does look good, but you know what? He makes that look easy, and I bet I wouldn't make them quite so pretty.
Well, you know what? As long as they taste good, I don't care what they look like.
That's true. I'll practice, and you can eat all the
I'll eat all you practice with. I will definitely. I got you.
Deal. Then I won't eat them all.
Yeah.
Deal. All right. Now let's head to the Panhandle with Captain Pat Deneen. Pat, your region gets lots of visitors to the Sunshine State for diving, right?
Yeah, I tell you, Lauren, diving's popular with the locals, but we get a lot of folks from Georgia, Louisiana, Tennessee, Mississippi to come down here and do saltwater diving with us on our natural bottom. We have limestone ledges in 80 to 120 feet of water, a lot of soft corals and smaller hard corals on it, and sponges and whatnot. And there's also plenty of artificial spots, bridge spans, tugboats, liberty ships, and we've even got the risk in the aircraft carrier, which we talked about last week, amberjack fishing, also a very popular dive site. But what's kind of hidden for us is our lobster population. The Keys are known for it, but we have really good shovel-nosed lobsters, lots of them on the natural bottom, but also spiny lobsters on the deeper natural bottom, 100 to 120 foot of water. And our spinies are big. I've never seen a small one. The average weight's probably 6 pounds, never seen one less than 3 pounds, and plenty of them from the 9 to 10 pound range. And we've had a lot of rainfall, and the surface water is very turbid. I mean, it almost looks like a deep brewed Lipton iced tea, but once you get down below the surface, it's a good 35 to 45 foot visibility. And if you want to do some freshwater diving, we've got plenty of springs, Morrison's, Vortex, Ebro Springs, as well as sinkholes, particularly in the eastern part of the Panhandle. So if you're a diver, the Panhandle is not a bad place to be. In fact, I know some folks from Palm Beach would come up here and go diving for our shells, shell collecting. So it's not a bad diving location.
Well, it's also not a bad blue marlin location.
This past week, Jim, it has not been a bad blue marlin location. The fishing went off. There was a tournament in Orange Beach, Alabama, the Blue Marlin Championship. Orange Beach is just right across the border from Pensacola. They're fishing the same waters we're doing. The Real Addiction caught a 722-pounder. They got beat by the Rising Sun with a 789-pounder. And then they got beat by the Real Fire, who weighed a 185-pounder.
Wow.
Top three fish all weighed over 700 pounds. There were some 450 to 500-pound fish that didn't even make the top three. So what an incredible tournament. The best bite's been on the deep water rigs, live baiting with blackfins or large hardtails or small yellowfin tunas. Also on those rigs, if you want to do some jigging or live baiting with smaller baits, there's lots of 30 to 60-pound yellowfins being caught, and the weed lines are producing plenty of dolphins and wahoos as well. So, I mean, right now offshore, the bite has been fantastic.
Those are some gigantic blues. But you've also got some great stuff going on inshore, too, it looks like.
Inshore, all this rain has cooled the water down a lot. Like I said, the water looks like Lipton tea, but there's plenty of bait in it along the beaches, these little red minnows or rain minnows is what we call them. If you find the areas that hold these dense schools of bait, you're going to find some fish, ladyfish, bluefish, Spanish mackerel, as well as black-tip sharks and tarpon. and blacktips in particular have been very good from Shell Island eastward towards Crooked Island. Fish a small ladyfish or a butterfly ladyfish on a short piece of wire with a circle hook. You're going to catch some fish, 30 to 50 pounders, and some bigger bull sharks in the mix as well. There's a photo there. It's Captain Joe Lowry and his son Cooper. And I was fishing alongside him tarpon fishing this past week, and young Cooper caught that nice king mackerel around some of those bait schools. And I tell you what, that young man was very fired up. It was fun to see him catch it and to see the excitement.
Well, congratulations to Cooper.
No doubt. Additionally, inshore, Jim, I was talking to Captain Chuck Kemper in Navarre of Lucky Chucky Charters, and he reports some really good trout bite. Even though the water's stained, he's fishing those grass flats, looking for the potholes, and because of the stained waters, it's a little harder to find those potholes. But he's catching some nice trout using a new penny color soft plastic on either a jig head or fished under a cork. He's also catching some flounder in those potholes, as well as plenty of ladyfish and bluefish. So pretty much across the board, the fishing is pretty good.
Well, I tell you what, Chuck, he can catch him up there, can he? He sure knows that area. Hey,
That was
a great report, Pat. I'm going to take your blue water outrigger hotspots for the Panhandle region from here. Captain Pat says you need to check out the Bonita because they are on fire just off the beach and around the red minnow schools. You want to use small flies, spoons, or diamond jigs. And then offshore, you want to get to the blue water rigs. They've got marlin, dolphin, and tuna hanging around those offshore rigs. You want to fish live baits or troll ballyhoo over your plastics, or plastics over your ballyhoo, I guess.
Whichever.
Well, you know, if you put them backwards, they don't troll
It's
too
not
good.
going to work out.
No, they don't.
Okay, thanks, Jim. We're going to head off to the Yeti Northwest region. That's where we find Captain Jeff Hageman. Jeff, tell us about lobsters and diving.
It's nothing like you guys got in South Florida. Our spiny lobster we catch here are usually really, really deep, and you're going to have to make a drive to go get them. Most of our lobster are being caught anywhere from 60 to 140 feet of water. You want to get out there in ledges, just like you do in the shallow water down in South Florida and the trolls and stuff like that. And they're around wrecks, too. But, you just get a lot deeper to do it. We've also got slippery lobster up here, or shovel-nosed lobster, which we have plentiful in our region. They're a little smaller, but there's lots of them. They have absolutely no bag limits. You can harvest as many as you want. And they're a little sweeter, so they're just as good to eat. So we got plenty of those to go out and catch, too, when you're out there diving. As far as diving goes, we've got tons of diving. We've got great wrecks. We've got tanks, like Pat was talking about just a few minutes ago. We've got a ton of springs, and they're probably our most popular places to dive is our springs. We've got a lot of cave systems in our area with all the springs that we have. Crystal River is a very popular spot. People dive with the manatees and dive the caves up there, and there's a bunch of caves throughout that region up there, right through that northern part of my region that you get into. A lot of caves that are really fun to explore. Just make sure you know what you're doing before you go get involved in all that, and make sure you fly those dive flags.
Most definitely. Now, you've also got some grouper offshore, it looks like.
Our gag and red grouper right now has been really good. It's been on fire throughout our whole region right now. Most of the fish, ledges, rock piles, the red grouper have been on Swiss cheese bottom. Anywhere from 40 to 130 is where the fish are. There's all the fish right now with the water and all this fresh water we're getting right now. We're getting a lot of rain. They're pushing on out and getting to that cooler water right now and that clean water. You want to start off with dead bait. As soon as the bite slows down, you want to switch to live. A lot of the guys been using grass grunts, not a Key West grunt, but an actual grass grunt. Key West grunt's got the stripes on his face. The grass grunt's got dots on his face, and it'll actually grunt when you hold them. They've been working really well, producing some good fish. A lot of good keepers in that water I was talking about earlier, that 40 to 130. Right now, if you're catching some shorts, just move out a little bit deeper. You'll start catching some bigger fish. Like I said, those fish are moving to deeper water right now.
Gotcha. Now, you've also got some redfish inshore.
Red fishing has been really good throughout the region. Like Pat was talking about earlier, with all this rain we've been having, and we've been having a ton of it, especially when you get a little north of me in the upper two-thirds of my region. It's been coming down pretty much every day. So it's been dirtying the water up a little bit. Right now the fish are, the water's getting hot on the flats, so you want to look for the fish just off the edges of the flats or underneath some kind of structure, underneath a dock, underneath a mangrove, something they can get under. So high tide's been the key. Dead bait's been the key. So you want to fish either a dead bait on the bottom, a cut bait under the bottom, or a pinfish leaded, so it'll sit still underneath that structure. And you want to fish them real tight to the bank underneath the mangroves or underneath that dock to find most of those fish. Most of the redfish right now can average in anywhere from 22 to overstock, which is about 32 inches, and some good fish out there right now. And scallops. Still got plenty of them going on right now, but the water is dirtier, so your visibility is not going to be as good. Everybody I've talked to is still getting their limit very easily. They're just coming to work a little harder because the visibility has not been that great. So, and they've also been a little bit deeper. Freshwater seems to be pushing them out a little bit deeper. So if you're not catching them, move out to that little bit deeper water and fly those dag flags then too.
Jeff, that's a great report. I just want to add something real quick. Those scallops are, if you go out of Homosassa, you get to 5 or 6 feet of water, you're going to find scallops. Just keep moving around until you find them. Like Jeff said, they're absolutely everywhere. When you hit the right spot, you can't not come up with a limit in about an hour's time. I went last Friday. My second time ever to Homosassa, limited in an hour. I mean, it was that good. I'm going to take your Drummond Community Bank hotspots for the Northwest region from here. Thanks a lot, Jeff. We really appreciate that. Inshore, we've got snook around the beaches and passes. You want to drift live baits on the outgoing tide, and then offshore, grouper and snapper on the rock piles and ledges throughout the entire region. And you can start at 50 foot, but like he said, the bigger fish are out and a little deeper, so you can go all the way to 130 if you need to.
Okay, when we come back, I'm going to let the guys take over. Captain Jim will visit your region, and we're going to let Dave Farrell tell us what's new from the Workbench. Stick around.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by CCA, the voice of recreational anglers for over 25 years. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Hookup Lures, premium lures for serious anglers. La Jolla Resort, a place for family and fishermen. And Maverick Boat Company, makers of premium brand boats. Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Hi, I'm Ariana.
I'm Natalie of the Miami Dolphins cheerleaders for Bennett Auto Supply.
When it comes to spark plugs, look to NGK, the world leader in spark plug technology. NGK makes spark plugs for virtually every automobile, motorcycle, marine, and small engine application.
With NGK spark plugs, you get improved performance and increased fuel economy. So just ask your local technician for NGK spark plugs, the leader in spark plug technology, available at Bennett Auto Supply.
Best parts,
best prices, Bennett Auto Supply.
He's a 20 years straight, get to work on time. He's loved one woman for all his life. Everybody knows he ain't just tough, he's strong.
The all-new 2014 Chevy Silverado. Strong for all the roads ahead.
Dave, we got a bunch of new products to talk about here.
Yeah.
This looks like something I would put an electrical cord on or something.
Yeah, it does look like it.
What is this thing?
Well, this keeping with our lobster theme. This is called a tow rope. And what you can do, this thing, you can put 6 people behind your boat and tow them along real slow, and they can be looking down to see, looking over structure and stuff, and they see some feelers on, they can holler out, hey, right here, and stop, and people can go down there and get the lobsters. Or if you're just snorkeling along, every 10 feet, they got a little PVC handle on this special rope. Actually, this rope will not sink and foul up the reef if you ever lose it. But it has 6 of these, holds 6 snorkelers, 10 feet apiece, of space in between.
Right.
And the first one is 24 feet back. And that's very important because when you figure you're towing people around, you want the first guy to be real far
Pretty
back
good ways
there.
back so he's not getting in the prop.
Exactly, getting in the prop. So these are really cool thing, but you also have to remember when you use a device like this, you're going to have people in the water, the motor's going to be running, don't let anybody get close to the back of the boat.
And it looks like the end has a loop on it, so you can just tie it off on the cleat.
Correct. You just tie this to a cleat, and then when you're ready to retrieve it, you take it off the cleat, put it back on here, and wind, and you wind it all up so you don't make a big mess out of it.
Gotcha.
But that's cool. 6 people you can tow.
10 feet apart, so nobody's hitting anybody else's mask off with their flippers, that kind of thing.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
And also, we've got this is called the fin holder, and what this does is, it's a big wide, turn it around a little bit, a big wide pocket, 18 inches wide, 24 inches deep, or something like that. So they'll hold fins. When you're out, or even masks, you put anything you want to, but they're actually sized big enough to hold fins. And what this one is, this one's the zip version. And so this will zip down over.
So you just put this over your bow
any kind of railing
or something
you got,
like that, zip it shut.
and it'll stay there. They also have the ones with the built-in railing, so that you can just slide it into an existing rail.
Gotcha. Okay. What else have we got here?
Well, we also have this Poseidon titanium watch. This very
brand new reactor.
Brand new reactor. This is a titanium. We got it upside down.
All right, let's put that down in there.
Stuck in there. Poseidon titanium LE dive watch. That thing is forged from a solid piece of titanium. Pull it out of there. I mean, it's very light. It looks like a monster watch.
It looks like it would weigh about like a ton of bricks, but no, it's super light.
Yeah, it's made out of titanium, so it's very light.
I wonder if I could swap mine for this one.
You probably could, but Rick would be after you.
No, mine, what's interesting? This one is a metal band.
Right.
And actually mine without the metal band is actually heavier because this is stainless steel.
Well, this comes with 2 bands. It comes with the titanium band, which is obviously very light, but if you want to wear it in the water, it also comes with the rubber watch.
And it's got all of the tools.
Yep, it's got a bunch of Allen wrenches in there.
Okay.
You can put more links or less links if you want. Actually, a spare set of pins. It's serial numbered. This is number 46, limited edition watch. So the day you buy it, it'll probably, a couple years down the road, it'll probably be worth more than when you paid for it. Good to 1,000 meters. If you ever go down in a submarine and get lost at sea, the watch will still be ticking on your dead wrist. A 1,000-meter watch. Really cool. It's got a Swiss movement. It's it's an automatic. It's got a Japanese actually movement, but a Swiss illumination in it. That's got the never dark illumination in it, which is really nice stuff.
The reactor watches do have a fantastic illumination on all of their watches.
If you can't wear them at night, sometimes they wake you up.
And then we've got
these are some of the wrist gauges. These are from greatgauges.com, and what these do, these allow you to keep the gauge with you at all times, and it doesn't mess you up. It's got nice fittings here that won't corrode on you too bad if you rinse them off.
There you go.
Also perfectly sized, and this stuff, this nice inert material here won't make rashes on you or anything like that.
Now this is interesting.
Yeah, this is not too kinky. This is one of the things I saw out at the ICAST show. It's a wire, a nickel titanium leader wire. It's a single strand wire, but watch this. When we pull these things apart, it actually stretches. And wire never stretches. You never see wire stretch like that. One of the bad things about wire is there is no stretch. So this is a titanium wire that will not kink. I can't even kink it up. Like if I did this with like regular old number 9 wire or something like that,
I don't understand.
You'd make a big mess.
It stretches about an inch.
Yeah, it stretches a good way. So you got to love that stuff. And you can tie a knot in it, and you don't have to worry about doing a haywire barrel wrap.
I still don't see where it's stretching, though.
It's stretching all the through it, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We got a bunch of more products coming from next week from that ICAST
neat
show,
stuff.
too.
That's really neat stuff.
All right.
You know what? Let's. Great job.
No worries.
Good
We're going to bring some good stuff back from the ICAST show.
I'm telling you, man, this is some fantastic stuff. We'll go right into my region, and we'll check out what we've got going on in the Central East region right now. Then, for lobster, you want to get ready because the season's getting ready to start. And, in the CCA Central East region, there's a lot of places that you can go, but primarily where you're going to find your lobster is the 70 to 90 foot depths in the wrecks and the reefs in my area. Now, there's not been a whole lot of talk lately, Dave, because there's been a lot of cold water in my region, so not a lot of guys have been diving to get an idea of where the lobster are actually at. But generally, the lobster in my region, when they are there, are pretty good size.
They're big ones up there.
Yeah, 2 to 4 pounds on average. 5 to 7 pounders are not uncommon, and always somebody's finding a 10-plus pound prehistoric-looking bug like that 15-pounder we had earlier on the show. Basically, the main thing is if there's a diver already on a spot, give them a wide berth like Jimbo was talking about earlier. We don't need any lobster wars going on out there. The other thing that we have in my region right now is the king mackerel. They're throughout the entire region, and with those cold water upwellings and different things swirling around, you got to kind of hunt and peck. They're not in the same place every single day.
He is our summertime staple.
Exactly. But you know, in that they can be anywhere from 20 to 40-foot depths near schools of pogies right outside the surf break, or they can be all the way out to the 60 and 90-foot reefs between Sebastian and Ponce Inlet. And you want to use live pogies on a wire stinger rig. Now, our average king mackerel is running 14 to 24 pounds right now, so they're decent-sized fish. And you know, you put them on the grill. Those fish taste really, really good on the grill.
Yep.
You don't have to smoke them. They're
Nope.
not smoker kingfish.
Nope.
Inshore, Mosquito Lagoon last week was absolutely on fire. The summer temperatures were about as hot as the bite was. It slowed down a little bit, but the fish are still hitting. You want to use some cut ladyfish, cut mullet, pigfish, things of that nature, and you want to put them on a VMC circle hook. Anywhere where there's flats that have mullet on them, that's where you want to work, because that's what they're following, is those mullet schools right now. 50-50 grass and sand bottom is a good place because you can get your bait, chunk bait, out in the sand holes. The fish can find it a little easier. So that's the main thing you want to look for. 50-50 grass, mullet, chunk bait should get you a redfish. Most of the reds are running 20 to 30 inches right now, but Captain Travis Tanner had a couple fish that were well into the upper 40, low 50-inch range this past week.
That's a nice one.
Gigantic fish. That's what we're known for there. Look for pods or schools of redfish feeding on the flats between Preacher's Island and Pardon Island for the most part in the Mosquito Lagoon. And these same fish are moving back and forth from there to the mouth of Hall River Canal because they're feeding on the shrimp and the crabs that are running through Hall River Canal right now. Now, just as of today, the bite started to get a little bit later. So you don't have to be there at the crack of dawn to still catch some of these fish. Just fish on those deeper flats. The other thing we've got is speckled trout. Captain Scott McCalla has been fishing the super shallow backwaters of the Mosquito Lagoon, and he's been finding trout up to 30 inches with his fly and spinning rod customers this week. You want to look for the fish pushing or waking just like a redfish would first thing in the morning within about the first hour or two of daylight. And then you want to move to the edges of the flats once the sun starts to get up just a little bit, because they're going to leave those shallower areas as the water heats up. Good lures include saltwater assassin 5-inch shads in the watermelon, red glitter, copper juice, and baby bass colors right now. And you want to put those on a VMC weedless worm hook. Trout are also mixed in, and they're feeding along with schools of ladyfish, jack, and bluefish. You want to look anywhere between Rockledge and Sebastian Inlet right now. The Indian and Banana Rivers are both good places to look, and the key is looking for terns or gulls that are working over the actively feeding schools of fish. You want to try the 3 to 7 foot depths for the most part, because that's where those fish prefer to be. And then you also want to look for some of those bigger trout underneath docks later in the day, because they're going to get up under there. But the smaller ones are averaging about 10 inches to the lower slot limit right now. So there's a good action right now. You can get the kids out. It's a great time to get out and just be on the water, as long as you watch out for those afternoon thunderstorms. And then we're going to go to the CCA Central East Region hotspots, brought to you by me. Inshore, redfish in the Mosquito Lagoon. Use cut baits on a VMC circle hook, and you want to check out those flats like I was talking about just east of the Hall River Canal. Offshore, you want to check the reefs and ledges between 55 and 90 feet of water for those lobster.
Beauty.
Can it be my turn again?
Never.
No,
you never get
no.
any TV.
We like it. We like the attention.
We're
much prettier.
Yeah.
Well, don't panic. We're out of time anyway.
Yeah, they want to look at you more than us anyway.
We're out of time anyhow. Thanks so much for that. Stay with us, though, guys. When we return, we're going to hear from Captains Jeff Page and Russell Theron. There's much more to come on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy, the Florida Lottery, Best Parts, Best Prices, Bennett Auto Supply, Contender Boats, Performance Through Innovation, Navionics, We Start Where the Roads End, and Guy Harvey, artist, explorer, marine scientist, conservationist, and diver.
I'm happy we could get you exactly what you wanted.
Not as happy as I am.
Maybe not, but close.
Here's your new Silverado with everything you wanted in Victory Red, my friend.
Victory is mine.
I feel good knowing you got exactly what you wanted.
Is this a great day or what?
The Chevy Model Year End Event. The 13s are going fast. Time to get yours. Now, current Chevy truck owners can trade up to this 2013 Chevy Silverado All-Star Edition with a total value of $9,000.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
For over 30 years, Guy Harvey has masterfully captured the wonder of marine wildlife in his artwork. Now he's sharing his inspiration with the Florida Lottery by creating 12 exclusive images for the Collector Series Guy Harvey Scratch-Off game, featuring a top prize of $50,000 and a second chance opportunity to fish with Guy Harvey himself. Celebrate the beauty and riches of Florida with Guy Harvey Scratch-Off games today. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
Make sure you check out our website at the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.com, where you can get daily reports from our 9 captains. Also, if you'd like to be featured on our show, upload your best photos to our Facebook page. And if you'd like to be part of our studio audience, you can register there as well. Okay, Jim, now it's time to head to the Central West, where we have Captain Jeff Page. Jeff, you don't have a lot of lobster to work with, do you?
No, we really don't, you guys. We don't have a lot of lobsters. We got some good stone crabs, but that's another season. But what we do have in my Central West region is all kinds of diving and spearfishing available, from snorkeling shallow water rock piles and reefs to full-on dive trips over some well-known wrecks and reefs, such as the Cuda Hole, M7, and a variety of natural springs, which start right around 30 miles on out. It's suggested that you always go with a group of folks, make sure your gear and your tanks are all certified and checked out and all that stuff. Now, if you're into spearfishing, my dive master, Captain R.C. Gilliland out of Economy Tackle in Sarasota, recommends a 42-inch two-band JBL or an AB Biller gun. And if you're interested in a dive charter where you spearfish your catch, you can call Captain Marty Martell at 941-302-DIVE. Also, some of the biggest shark's teeth are found annually right off of Venice, between the Venice Fishing Pier and the Venice Jetty, on little limestone hard-bottom ledges that guys just swim out off the beach, Jimmy, put their flags up. Some snorkel, some dive, but they find some of the biggest prehistoric shark's teeth anywhere in the world, right off of Venice.
That's pretty neat. What else have you got going offshore this week, Jeffrey?
Offshore, mangrove snapper. Snapper bite remains really strong, especially with a full moon approaching on the 22nd. The 80 to 120-foot range seems to be the best depth to start at over ledges and wrecks, Jim. Don't be surprised if you find them in closer as the moon gets full. It's hard to beat live pinfish or select shrimp, but cut bait will produce as well. And don't forget to chum them up a little bit. Put a couple chum bags out once you get your boat set up. And that chum that Dave had on the workbench a couple weeks ago really is awesome. I can't remember the actual store-bought name of it, but Dave had it on the workbench, and they sent me some, and it works real well on snappers.
Oh, fantastic.
Rolling inshore, species 1, snook. Lots of catch-and-release snook being caught, reported from all areas of my region. First, down the southern part, anglers have been whacking them out on the beach as well as in the inlets, Stump Pass, Gasparilla Pass, and the Venice jetties, especially during our afternoon outgoing tides. But don't overlook the creek rivers, spillways, and all your freshwater canals and discharges due to all this rain we've had. There's guys catching snooks on job sites and stuff with boats just standing out in canals and stuff because of all the fresh water pouring out. And that lure that you like, that lipped Rapala scatter wrap in the minnow pattern's been working real well in the old standby black and gold.
Oh, that's a great plug, isn't
I've
it,
got
Jeffrey?
a photo tonight of one of my good guys, Nick. I can't pronounce his last name, but FBI Nick, I call him, with a nice look he got with me last week on my Pathfinder there.
But you can call him Snooky Nick or Cowboy Nick, whatever you want.
Yeah,
Whichever
Cowboy
works.
Nick. There you
Looks
go.
And you got tarpon as well?
Yeah, species 2, tarpon, lots of smaller, as well as some bigger tarpons have made their ways up into the bays and estuaries, feeding on the schools of ladyfish, which are feeding on the schools of hatchbait. And I'm sure the tarpon are eating on the hatchbait too. It's best to get out early because, number one, the winds are down, and number two, the fish are showing better. And then you can throw topwater plugs like Zara Spooks, Skitter Walks, or that new Rapala Gliding Wrap works real well. Try and stay off the fish as far as you can. Launch those plugs in and amongst them, blowing up on the ladyfish, and make sure you have a good stretch of 30, 40-pound fluorocarbon on.
Oh, that's a fantastic report, Jeffrey. Great job. I'll take your StarTron hotspots for the Central West region from here. Captain Jeffrey says you got to get out there and check out this tarpon inshore. Up and down the entire beaches throughout the region, and you want to use live pinfish under a cork because he says that's going to work best. Or if they're not hitting that, check out the Dead Menhaden on a bottom fishing rig. Offshore, gag grouper, the bite remains pretty strong, live pins over the hard bottom and on the ledges in 35 to 75 feet of water. Or you control lipped diving plugs in the Egmont Channel between Egmont Key and the Skyway Bridge, right up and down that edge of that ship's channel because it's a nice, hard, rocky ledge, Lauren.
Very nice. Yeah. Okay, gang, now it's time to check in with Captain Russ and Theron. And unlike Captain Page, Russell, you get some monsters for lobsters in the Northeast, isn't that right?
That's right, Lauren. And how are you? And hey, Jim, and hey, Dave.
Hey, Russell.
Hey, Russell.
The biggest lobsters in the state, simply because they're so far offshore and they're so deep. Most of the lobster divers here are targeting lobsters on the reefs and wrecks. Now, you got to really understand our area here. From St. Augustine and down toward Daytona is some of our best diving and some of our best lobstering, because when you get up north toward Jacksonville, you've got the discharge from the St. Johns River and from the Nassau River and also the St. Mary's River. And a lot of that water that gets offshore, it's not as clear. So the water is much clearer down towards St. Augustine. So when you want to run out to at least 115 to 130 foot of water off of St. Augustine. But if you get down toward Daytona, you might only have to get out to 80 to 100 foot of water east of Daytona. Now, safety is very important when you're diving offshore here. You want to be sure that you're scuba certified. And please go with someone who is experienced in deep diving our waters offshore. Some of the lobsters run 3 to 10 pounds, and some of them can be as big as 15 pounds. Now that would make some good. I like my lobster tacos fried with some good country coleslaw on them. Can't beat that, Jim.
I think I'll join you.
I knew Russell wouldn't let us down. He was definitely going to tell us his favorite dish tonight.
He's on it, man. And Russell, you've also got some sharks going on the offshore waters.
That's right, Jim. The shark fishing is off the chain right now because the fact that, when our waters are hot and everything, the sharks are going to be feeding behind those behind those shrimp boats. And, man, I tell you what, this is the great time of year. If you've got some teenage kids that are out of school for the summer, well, take them on a shark fishing trip. They'll have a blast. Now, the way we're catching the sharks is with dead bait. We want to free line that dead bait right in the prop wash behind the shrimp boat with either like a cut bonita strip or maybe a pogie or any large cut bait fish. Most of the sharks are going to run anywhere from 30 to 200 pounds, and you're going to have species like black-tip spinnakers, lemon sharks, sand sharks, and some bull sharks. We hooked up on one last week that we still don't know what it was. It's still going. I don't have. All right, let's get inshore and talk about some red fishing. All right, now this weekend we got like a triple threat because you've got reds you can fish at daylight in the morning, or if you were going to be brave and fish that low tide in the middle of the afternoon, that's going to be a tough one. But then we got a flood tide late in the afternoon, so that you might want to, sight fish. But that early morning ebb tide at daylight, you want to throw topwater plugs along the grass lines and the creek mouth. And then in the afternoon, go for the tailing reds and sight fish that flood tide. Completely different, two different types of fishing that are very rewarding. The early morning bites are going to be spotty unless you're in the right place at the right time. And also, watch out in the afternoon for the thunderstorms that are going to come up. But, you know, fishing can be great for tailing redfish after a shower that has cooled down the water. For the topwater anglers, some of the best topwater plugs, of course, are my favorite is the Rapala skitterwalk in the trout pattern, and, of course, the storm chug bug in the mullet pattern. Both of these plugs are very effective and will produce redfish and some nice trout bites. On the flood tides, the best option is the sight fish for the tailing reds and the short Spartatina cordgrass. Now, light tackle anglers want to use a saltwater assassin like a black and gold jerkbait rig weedless with a VMC hook tied to a 6 foot of 20-pound fluorocarbon. And what I use is a unit-to-unit. One of the best things that you want to understand is because of the fluorocarbon's diameter, 6 wraps is the best on the fluorocarbon, and with your braided line, you want to use as many as 12 wraps to complete that leader. Tie it to a Suffolk 20-pound braid main line, and the fly fishermen, they're going to enjoy, you know, getting into this game, too, because using an 8-weight fly rod with a floating line, a 9-foot leader, and my favorite lure, of course, to tie on is a Jim Dupree spoon fly, either in gold or black. And this is a deadly combination. The redfish are going to run anywhere from 3 to 7 pounds. Now, also this week, our sea trout fishing has been really good on overcast days, and on sunny days has been producing good fish, but late in the afternoon or at sunrise in the morning. Some of the best spots to target the sea trout are in the creek mouths and shell bars, where, of course, you've got eddies and tide lines, and then it's very important to look and be sure that you've got some clean water. The storm chug bug is in the mullet pattern, or castor or pala skitterwalk in the trout pattern. Now, what you want to do is fish these topwater plugs in 2 to 4 feet and use a short, a slow retrieve. And remember, the sea trout are very clumsy, so don't set the hook until you feel the strike, and always play a big trout gently. And do not tear his mouth or you might lose the fish of a lifetime. Most of the sea trout are running anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds, and a gator trout is over 5 pounds.
Whew, man, sounds like you've got it all going on up there this week, Russell. I tell you what, that's
see Dave Workbench. He's just got back from the ICAST, so I'll bet you he's got some new things that he definitely wants to show you at the Jacksonville Strike Zone.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to talk about the Strike Zone hotspots for the Northeast region right now. We appreciate the report, Russell. That was a fantastic one. Inshore, Captain Russell Theron says you need to check out those redfish along those grass lines at daylight with a topwater plug, or you can sight fish tailing reds on grass flats during the flood tide later in the afternoon. Offshore, you can catch some sharks. Take those kids out there to the shrimp boats, and you want to free line a fresh pogie or any type of cut bait in the prop wash of those shrimp boats. And he says, hold on, because you may not get it back.
I think he said, hold on.
Hold on.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Because it's still going.
Guys, when we return, we're going to have the Coastal Conservation Minute, and we'll check in with Captain Ron Houston in the Southeast. Don't go anywhere.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Reactor, the best built performance sports watch, period. StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Strike Zone Fishing. Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. And Yamaha, reliability starts here.
At highway speeds, things can get pretty windy. That's why the Chevrolet Cruze Eco has active aero grille shutters that close at higher speeds to improve aerodynamics. With an EPA estimated 42 miles per gallon highway, the Chevrolet Cruze Eco offers the best highway fuel economy of any gas engine in America. Always thinking of ways to give you more while using less. That's American ingenuity to find new roads.
For over 30 years, Guy Harvey has masterfully captured the wonder of marine wildlife in his artwork. Now he's sharing his inspiration with the Florida Lottery by creating 12 exclusive images for the Collector Series Guy Harvey Scratch-Off game, featuring a top prize of $50,000 and a second chance opportunity to fish with Guy Harvey himself. Celebrate the beauty and riches of Florida with Guy Harvey Scratch-Off games today. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
You already know about the La Jolla Resort in Isla Mirada, so let's talk about the La Jolla experience. With an on-site boat ramp, the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic is just minutes away. And when you return from fishing, there's barbecue pits to cook your catch while your family enjoys the pool or one of our new remodeled rooms. This historic resort, the La Jolla, is family-owned and operated and has a friendly staff ready to make your La Jolla experience a really great one.
You know there's more to it than luck. There's fishing the right bait, the water temperature, the wind, the season, and then there's the boat. We'll put it simply, the boat matters. To own a Contender is to own the best sport fishing boat on the market, period. Contender offers the most comprehensive model range with bigger, faster, and more fuel-efficient boats than the competition. There's only one choice for serious anglers. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation.
The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission wants your help in removing lionfish from Florida waters. Interested in helping? Lionfish can be speared or caught in handheld nets, and a recreational fishing license is not required while targeting lionfish while using a pole spear, a Hawaiian sling, or handheld net, or a spearing device that is especially designed and marketed exclusively for lionfish. If you get stung, treat the wound by immersing the area in hot water for 30 to 90 minutes and seek medical attention as soon as possible. Although complete eradication is not likely to given the current range and distribution of the species, localized control is possible through consistent and sustained harvest pressure. To learn more about lionfish evasion and what you can do to help, visit myfwc.com/wildlife habitats and click on non-native species.
All right, good coastal conservation minute there.
Unlimited bag limit on those things too.
All right, nice tip there. Thanks, Jim. Right now, let's send it over to Captain Ron Houston. Ronnie, what can you tell us about lobster?
Well, obviously, diving a lobster in my region, when it comes to catching the lobsters on the southwest coast of Florida, I strongly recommend for the easiest way to go do it, head over to the East Coast like most people will always be heading over there to get their limit of lobsters and get them pretty quick. It's a lot easier, but not saying you can't catch them on the west coast of Florida, but your chances are better. With our beautiful beaches and beautiful Gulf waters, though, there's still plenty of opportunities to dive wrecks and artificial reefs, and plenty of those are explored all through the southwest region. But for better information, I strongly recommend you leave it up to the pros. Here's just a few tips and ideas for you to figure out what you need to be doing over on the southwest coast of Florida for all your diving needs. You know, Scuba Adventures of Naples I would strongly recommend, and then Fantasy Scuba of Charlotte County. Also, Depth Finders Diving, and also Naples Marine and Excursions will all help you with the gear you need, and if you need to be certified, and set you up on local dives and areas you need to be diving in. But like I said, leave it up to the pros on my side, but for the easier lobsters, head on over to the East Coast.
Well, we need to head right offshore and see what else you got going on the southwest region right now.
Well, you know, truthfully, we've had a lot of rain in the last several days, both inshore and offshore, and not saying the opportunities haven't been there, but for the reports I've gotten, it's been a strange report, as I'm about to tell you. Right now, there's plenty of opportunities for the red and gag groupers all through the region, but you want to listen to what I'm telling you as far as depths. Try to concentrate on the gags and depths right now are 25 to 50 feet of water along wrecks and ledgers and scattered cheese bottom, and then also 90 to 100. Now, what you listen to what I'm saying is I didn't mention anything past 50 or below 90. There seems to be something strange going on, and it's kind of harder to catch those fish in between those depths, so concentrate on the depths I strongly suggested. For the reds, you want to focus on the same depths as what I was telling you. But what you also want to do is baits of choice for the guys can be live pinfish, grunts, and bucktails, also vertical jigs. For the reds, cut squid, herring, and sardines are working, but guys are telling me sardines has been the best bet. Remember the depths, 25 to 50, pretty simple. 90 to 100, pretty simple. Stay out in between, or you'll be working a lot hard to be catching those fish. On the inshore side, the rain's really been helping on the inshore side, especially with the juvenile tarpon. They're just about abundant just about anywhere you go right now, but in the last couple days, most backcountry feeder creeks right now from Houston Bay to Buttonwood Bay with heavy freshwater flow. Also, for the guy who walks along the banks or can't get out in the boat, feeder canals along US 41 all the way to County Road 951
and freshwater culverts and spillways right now leading into the Gulf. Those areas right now are holding plenty of fish. Now you got to be patient and look in some of these areas. Look for these fish to be barely tipping or rolling in heavy current or lee shorelines. Baits right now, because the water's so tannic, include solid bright colors in the tannic water. 5-inch bass, assassin sea shads in glow, white, lime truce and gold. Also 3 to 4-inch slip plugs in white, red and white, black and golden chartreuse. A variety of small top water plugs with the walk the dog in the similar colors. Plenty of fish to be hooked once found. Not many landed because typical size of these fish are 15 to 40 pounds. It's a fun bite. It's an acrobatic bite, but chances are you won't be catching as many. Now, a little further to the north, the redfish. Concentrate your efforts right now from Matlacha Bridge to Sword Point. Also in the Estero Bay area, Hell Peckney. Concentrate on fishing the narrow feeder creeks with heavy freshwater flow pushing into the bay. Some reports say guys aren't catching some of these fish with pilchards, but if you get too much of that fresh water, guys are having trouble keeping them pilchards alive. So either plug off your wells or have plenty to be chumming out. Now, in that freshwater area, live pinfish have been working, gold spoons, 3 to 4-inch shrimp imitations, and paddle tails in white, root beer on a jig head. Also, a variety of walk-the-dog lures in bone, black and gold, or chartreuse seem to be working very well. Now, right now, in the higher stages of the tide, concentrate tight to the mangroves. On the lower stages of the tide, you want to concentrate on points, oyster bars, and independent islands that are holding small baits, small fry bait due to the rain, or schools and mullet for the redfish. And one thing you're talking about on the inshore side, concentrate anywhere along mangrove shorelines. Doesn't necessarily have to be a creek, but look for that white foam and bubbles on top of the water. That tells you there's some water coming out and there should fish be holding.
Absolutely fantastic stuff this week, Ronnie. I'm going to take your hot spots for the southwest region from here. Small mangrove snapper are what you want to look for inshore. You want to go between Dismal Key to Lane Cove, and you want to look at late afternoon on the falling tide along the driftwood structures using live shrimp or tipped shrimp on a bucktail jig. Now offshore, Ronnie says Spanish mackerel. You want to look from the beach line out to about the 10-mile mark, and all through the region, look for the wrecks, bait pods, and diving birds. That's where you're going to find those fish. And the run and gun technique is going to be the best way to get a bite on those fish.
All right, really great stuff from all of you guys tonight. Yeah. Thanks, Jim. You guys, when we return, we're going to tell you what the captains are going to have for you next week. Stick around.
For over 30 years, Guy Harvey has masterfully captured the wonder of marine wildlife in his artwork. Now he's sharing his inspiration with the Florida Lottery by creating 12 exclusive images for the Collector Series Guy Harvey Scratch-Off game, featuring a top prize of $50,000 and a second chance opportunity to fish with Guy Harvey himself. Celebrate the beauty and riches of Florida with Guy Harvey Scratch-Off games today. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
He's a 20 years straight, get to work on time. He's loved one woman for all his life. Everybody knows he ain't just tough, he's strong.
The all-new 2014 Chevy Silverado. Strong for all the roads ahead.
Hi. I lost a big fish earlier today. Wasn't using suffix. It was about this big.
Look, slow down there, cowboy, okay? A fish in the lobster van, huh? You want your fish. Sorry, honey, that fish is gone.
Always use the best line, Suffix 832.
Introducing Helmmaster, Yamaha's first fully integrated digital boat control system. With Helmmaster, you can start your outboards with a swipe of a fob and control them with a single lever. Outboard trim and steering friction adjust automatically as you accelerate and decelerate. Adjust engine speed with the touch of a button. The Helmmaster joystick provides the means to navigate and dock precisely with confidence and ease. Take control of your next vessel with Helmmaster at your command.
If you like fishing or the history of fishing, then I have a must-see place for you. The IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame and Museum in Dania Beach. What makes the IGFA so cool is that they have theaters where you can learn about the journey of fishing, galleries where the kids can see antique reels or catch a big one, The Hall of Fame room has over 140 beautiful fish mounts, and maybe in the E.K. Harry Library, you may see a live alligator. For more family fun, go to igfa.org.
Next week, we're talking mackerel. Make sure to check us out next Thursday, July 25th. You can also catch us on Friday and Saturday. Just visit Sun Sports and your local listings for more details.
You lied. You lied. I won't be here. I'm in Kona. I'm going to Hawaii.
Listen to him rubbing it in. You know what?
Look, I learned
We
how to
don't
move
need
my
it.
ear.
I can wiggle my
Aw,
ears.
dear. Captain Jim, thanks for joining us again tonight.
I appreciate you guys having me. It's been a blast as always.
Yeah, gonna come back, I hope.
Oh, if you guys invite me, I will come.
I'm going back to the Keys as soon as I leave here. Going to Chica Lodge.
I want to come with you.
You're just bragging all over
I know.
the place
Kona,
today.
Chica.
He's got a vacation to have. All right, see you next week, guys.